Hello, and welcome to a new YouTube series. This hasn't been broadcasted on Twitch. This is coming straight to you guys, first on YouTube. I've been listening to a few Choose Your Own Adventure books recently, and I figured I want to read a Choose Your Own Adventure book. I've never read one before, but like everything I do, I can't just enjoy it myself. I have to find a way to force it down somebody else's neck, so that's where you guys come in. So, for my first ever Choose Your Own Adventure book, I'm going to read Underground Kingdom by Edward Packard, published by Bantam Books. Now, I know nothing about this book. I literally just typed in Choose Your Own Adventure PDF into Google, and this is one of the first ones to come up. So, I hope it's good. And over the next few days, weeks, I don't know how long this will take, we will do 15-20 minute segments a day until we complete this thing. So, yeah, let's dig into it. So the book starts with a warning. I believe these are just standard for Choose Your Own Adventure books. It reads, "Warning, do not read this book straight through from beginning to end. These pages contain many different adventures you can have as you try to reach the Underground Kingdom. From time to time, as you read along, you will be asked to make a choice. Your choice may lead to success or disaster. The adventures you have will be the result of the decisions you make. After you make your choice, follow the instructions to see what happens to you next." That's then followed by a special warning and 4 exclamation points. "The Underground Kingdom is not easy to reach. Many readers never get there. Others never return. Before starting out on your journey, you may want to read Professor Buckner's theory, which is set forth on the pages that follow. Professor Buckner is a rather boring writer, and I wouldn't suggest that you bother to read his theory, except that, if you ever get to the Underground Kingdom, it may save your life. Good luck." So, Professor Buckner's theory. The discovery of the bottomless crevasse in Greenland by Dr. Nira Vivaldi supports my theory that the Earth is not solid, as has been thought, but that it is hollow. The bottomless crevasse is probably the sole route from the Earth's surface to a vast underground kingdom. The only other possible link would be an underground river, following in alternate directions in response to tides, but this seems unlikely. How, you may ask, was the Earth hollowed out? My study showed that more than 1 billion years ago, a tiny black hole collided with our planet and lodged in its center, pulling the whole molten core into an incredibly massive sphere, only a few hundred meters across. If you were to stand on the inner surface of the Earth, like a fly on the inner shell of an enormous pumpkin, you would see the black hole directly overhead, like a black sun. The gravity of the Earth's thick shell would hold you to the inner shell of the Earth, though you would weigh much less than you would on the outer surface, because the mass of the black sun would tend to pull you towards it. If there were a very tall mountain in the Underground Kingdom, and you were to climb to the top of it, you might be pulled up into the black sun, because gravity gets stronger as you approach a massive object. In all other respects, the black sun would not be dangerous to any creatures in the Underground Kingdom. On the contrary, the black sun would be necessary to life in the underworld, but in the opposite way, that the sun is necessary to life on the Earth's surface. Our sun gives us heat and keeps us from freezing. The black sun absorbs heat. If there is an underground kingdom, it is the black sun that keeps its inhabitants from being baked to death by the heat within the Earth. So now we are starting the book on page 1. You are standing on the torn glacier in northern Greenland, staring down into the black void of the crevasse. You shiver as you wonder whether you are lucky or unlucky to be invited on this expedition. Standing next to you are Gunnar Larson of the National Research Institute and James Sneed, a geologist. A small black box containing a signal transmitter is suspended over the crevasse by 2 long poles. The transmitter is wired to a console a few yards away in the ice. Dr. Sneed turns a dial as he monitors the display screen. "Well?" Lawson's voice is impatient. Sneed looks up, a broad smile on his face. "This is it, friends. The bottomless crevasse." Any radar return?" Lawson asks. Sneed shakes his head. "None." For a minute, no one speaks. Like you, the others must feel excited to have reached their goal, but also a little sad. It was just over a year ago your old friend, Dr. Nira Vivaldi, radioed from the spot that she had reached the bottomless crevasse. A few minutes later, her radio went dead. She was never seen again. Now you stand on the edge, lost in thought. How could the crevasse have no bottom? Could it really lead to an underground kingdom? What happened to Dr. Vivaldi? But your thoughts are shattered. You didn't seem to slip, yet suddenly you are falling into the crevasse. A ledge is coming up fast beneath you. You could land on it, but you're falling so fast, you're sure to be badly injured. You might only be saving yourself for a slow, agonizing death. These thoughts race through your head in a split second. So I have a choice, my first choice. If I try to land on the ledge, I can turn to page 5. If not, I go on to the next page. I mean, I feel like I should probably try and break my fall somewhere, right? So we're going to progress on to page 5. Your whole body is racked with pain as you crash onto the ledge. You're shaken and bruised, but still alive. A snowbank cushioned your fall. Help! You cry. Hold on, Lawson yells. It's going to be tricky, but we're rigging our ropes. We'll get you up. You feel a flash of joy. Then you remember something that chills you to the bone. You were very careful not to fall in. You're quite sure you didn't slip. You were pulled off, as if by some unknown force within the bottomless crevasse. Should you warn your friends about the strange force? If you do, they may be afraid to get close enough to rescue. If you warn Lawson and Sneed, turn to page 13. If you just yell, please hurry, turn to page 9. I think we're going to be the better person here and we're going to try and warn them. So, page 13 it is for me. Get back from the ledge, you yell. I didn't fall. I was pulled in. For a few moments you hear nothing. Then Sneed yells. Thanks for warning us. There may be some force here that we don't understand. But don't worry, we're rigging a brace so we can pull you up without getting too close. A few minutes later, you see a nylon climbing rope dangling in front of you. You pull in enough to tie around your waist and under your arms. Taking a firm grip, you call up to the top. I'm ready! Pull away! Your heart skips a beat as you're yanked off the ledge. You dangle for a moment. Then, slowly, foot by foot, your friends pull you up and over the edge. You scramble across the ice into their arms. Thank goodness we got you, says Lawson. The bottomless crevasse is a killer. I think we'd better quit now. I agree. I've had enough, Sneed says. After what you've been through, you're not about to argue with them. The three of you pack up and begin a long trek back across the glacier. You're happy to be alive, but you know that you'll always regret you never reached the underground kingdom. The end! We finished. We did it! Well, that was easy. I don't know what people say that these games are so hard and difficult and you die all the time. We passed in, 3 pages? That's got to be some kind of a record. Man, I think we're going to have to roll back a decision there and maybe we're just going to fall in all the way down to the bottom without trying to break our fall. So let's roll that back, shall we? So on page 2, we had the option of turning to page 5 if we're going to try and land on the ledge, and if not, we're just going to go on to page 3. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to go on to page 3 and pretend we didn't try and break our fall. I mean, if you want to accept that every choice I make first time around is my actual choice, and I hope you enjoyed the series, and I'll come back in a couple of weeks for the next fantasy book, but yeah, I'm going to go on to page 3. Your consciousness slips away as you fall faster, down, down, down. The next thing you know, you're floating in air. In the soft reddish light, you can see that you are in a cavern, drifting towards the ceiling. Or is that the floor? In a flash, you realize what has happened. You've fallen to a point where gravity above you is almost equal to the gravity beneath you. You brush against a firm surface, a wall that feels like clay. You cling to it for a moment. Then you're floating again, drifting slowly down. You begin to lose your fear as you realize that gravity here is so weak that you can fall mile after mile without being hurt. After a while, you begin to relax and enjoy drifting through the fantastic twilight world. You only wish it weren't so hot. Closing your eyes, you try to pretend that you are safely home in bed. Yeah, we probably should have remembered the theory that we got before, where it actually just explained gravity to us. So yes, I should probably learn my lessons because we did take our time to read it. Once again, you brush against a firm surface. This time, it's the floor of the cavern. In fact, you have touched down on the mossy bank of an underground stream. You drink from the cool, clean water, then step out the cavern into the strange world. The only illumination is a dim red-orange glow that seems to come from the ground. The air is so clear that you can see shadowy, curving hills and valleys stretching out in all directions, even above you. Why do you feel so good? It must be because you are so light. I mean, it might also just be this mysterious water we've just saw and immediately started drinking, but sure. You could hardly weigh more than 10 or 15 pounds. You spring to your feet. Every movement is easy. You jump 20 or 30 feet high and float gently to the ground. Then you realize that you are not alone. Only a few yards away is an odd creature. As big as you are, it seems to be some kind of bird, yet not much more than a bird. Under a crown of soft golden feathers are enormous blue-green eyes, so vivid and intense that they seem to be not only a means of vision, but also a means of power. There is something terrifying about that face, but also something angelic, something that draws you to it. In fact, you feel as if you are being hypnotized by those eyes. Eyes of an angel bird. Here's my next choice. If you run from the strange creature, turn to page 15. If I hold my ground and face it, turn to page 10. Ooh. Do we just immediately want to turn our back and run from a bird? I mean, it could be like some predatorial bird thing, right? I like how it's just sat and watched us jumping around for a bit first until like we noticed it, but let's hold our ground and face it. We're going to turn to page 10. You stand there and watch as the strange creature walks slowly towards you. Then you see the large blue-white pieces of broken shell. This angel bird is only a fledgling, just hatched. Losing your fear, you walk up and stroke the creature gently. It cocks its head to the side and touches you with one of its wings. At that moment, it seems almost human. But suddenly you hear a loud whirring sound. Hovering above you is another angel bird, a much larger one. It must be the mother of the fledgling. She swoops towards you. That would have been my first thought when I saw a baby bird is, where's its parent? It's going to be very protective. So we have a choice. If we run, turn to page 8. If you grab the fledgling and try and use it to shield yourself, turn to page 14. It's like, your baby will protect me from you. If you dive to the ground and shield your face with your arms, go to page 11. Oh man. If we dive to the ground and try and shield our face, if these are like a good creature, then it might recognize that we don't wish it any harm. But yeah, I think we are going to try it. We're going to try page 11. We're going to shield ourselves from it. You dive to the ground and shield your face with your arms, hoping the angel bird would leave you unharmed. Nothing happens. The angel bird must have taken her young one away. What's more, you begin to have the feeling that you are completely safe. Slowly, you get to your feet. Standing nearby are 3 more of the large creatures. One of them effortlessly leaves the ground, glides through the air, and lands beside you. You have a strong urge to climb on its back. What? Why? Why is it you feel so safe? The angel birds begin to make musical sounds more beautiful than anything you've ever heard. Is it the music that causes your good feelings? Or something more? I mean, it's already said they were hypnotizing us with its eyes. Is it like a siren song? These creatures seem to communicate not in words or even ideas, but in feelings. Without thinking more about it, you leap on. No choice there then. And because there's very little gravity, you almost float onto the creature's feathery back. You nestle in. It feels like a bed of goose down, soft and silky. Turn to page 16. Illusion of choice. The angel bird glides through the canyons and corridors beneath the earth. It increases its speed, and you hold tight as it swoops through long curving passageways. It's the most exciting ride of your life, and would certainly be the scariest if you didn't feel like you've never been safer. Then, ahead of you is a tunnel that flares into a broad new world. An endless landscape stretches before you. It is bathed in soft reddish light, as if the sun had just set everywhere around you. A great river forms a curving line that divides the land. Trees line its banks. Further back from the river are mountains, some of them lavender or blue, and others that flicker like glowing embers. Strangely, there is no horizon. Instead, the landscape fades into dusky reds and browns that curve over your head, forming a sky that is almost the same color as the ground. Directly above you is something that looks like the sun, but it is absolutely black. So this is the underground kingdom. Strange, vast, and very beautiful. What people or creatures live here? What mysteries does it hold? But you are swept from your daydreaming by the realization that your life here could be in danger. Wow, so like we have no purpose here, right? We are just, I guess, a scientist. We came here with a geologist and I don't know some other scientist. Um, the fact that we fell in and now we're just gonna adventure around. I presume it's like modern day times. This isn't. I presumed we would be in some kind of like medieval fantasy story, but I guess not. I've picked a random one here. Um, but I think as a scientist, curiosity would pique my interest here. We would want to explore things. So we have a choice. If you set out to explore the underground kingdom, turn to page 19. If you concentrate on safely getting back home, turn to page 22. Well, with the knowledge we have of how abruptly this can just end, I think we're going to try and explore, because I feel like maybe getting home, we will maybe just find our way and we're done. So yes, we are going to explore the underground kingdom. That's what we're here for. Turn to page 19. You know how you feel. The risks don't matter. You want to explore the underground kingdom. The angel bird seems to understand. Steeply banking, it swoops down along the great river and glides gently onto a mossy plain. Nearby is a grove of tall trees, short, stumpy branches with clusters of multicolored leaves thrust out from their trunks. They look almost like hands holding bunches of flowers. You slide to the ground, and at once the angel bird rises in the air. As it glides up into the dark red sky, you feel a wave of happiness. You follow its path with your eyes long after it's disappeared. Then, turning to survey the strange landscape, you wonder where you will go. What dangers await you? Turn to page 40. The scene around you reminds you of a photographic negative. All the shades and colours seem reversed. The ground is greyish pink clay with white outcroppings. In the distance you can see areas that glow like beds of hot coals. Nearby is a forest of trees with green trunks and white leaves. The trees are short, yet their branches, taking advantage of the light gravity, spread out for hundreds of feet in all directions. You climb a small hill to get a better view. Wherever you look, the land curves upward as if you were standing in the bottom, like all the way into the bottom of. That makes sense, we're on the floor in the bottom of the hollowed out earth, right? The sky is covered with what looks like reddish yellow clouds. Most amazing of all is the sight directly overhead, a disk almost the size of the sun, but instead of shining brightly, it is absolutely black. You can feel its coolness, as if it was drawing heat from your skin. It's the black hole at the center of the earth. You turn sharply at the sound of chattering. Coming up the ravine are more than a dozen creatures, smaller than you, yet walking upright on two legs. Half human, half ape. They look like creatures that might have once lived on the Earth's surface. They are carrying ropes and nets. Turn to page 39. You could probably climb a nearby tree and hide among the clusters of giant leaves. But is it wise to run like a frightened animal? Yes, assert dominance. Maybe things will go better if you bravely face the inhabitants of this world. But I'm a weak scientist. If video games have taught me anything, if I put my points into science, I don't have any points in strength or charisma. If we decide to face the creatures, turn to page 42. If we decide to hide in a cluster leaf tree, turn to page 46. Well, I'm not sure what our hiding skill actually is, and I think maybe we should just be like, hey there, I'm whatever my name is. So I think we're going to go with 42. 42. We're going to face them. You step forward to meet the strange procession. The underworld creatures form a circle around you, cackling and jesting to each other. You smile and hold out your arms. Hello, you begin, but the creatures raise their nets and close in on you. One of them barks an order. They motion for you to follow them. You don't have much choice. Despite their small size, they move rapidly through the thick woods. Occasionally, they freeze, and you hear them whispering, Kota ib seben Kota. You march a mile or so through the groves of trees. It is as hot as you've ever known it, and you feel as if you're going to faint. But finally, you reach open land. Instantly, you feel cooler. The black sun is drawing heat from your body. Soon, you reach the village of igloo-shaped structures that look as if they've been made of green clay. One of your captors leads you to the nearest one. Ib Agon, he says, as he takes you inside. Turn to page 44. The interior of the Agon? Agon? Or, as it seems to be called, is... Oh, right, that's what the just called it, yeah. So, the interior of the Agon, as it seems to be called, is lit by glowing stones circling the inner wall. In the center is a small fountain. Clear water bubbles forth and flows along a silver trough before disappearing underground. The floor is soft and spongy, like a thick bed of moss. The leader steps forward. Ket, he says, pointing to himself. Ket Raka, pointing to the others. He says, Akim Raka, Tor Raka. You repeat each name. Wait, so was that him saying that, or was that me saying Akim Raka, Tor Raka? I think that was him. You repeat each name, then pointing to yourself, tell him your name. The Rakas laugh as they try to pronounce the strange sound. Tor, who seems the younger of the others, brings you something that looks like cheese, but tastes like honey. Ket gives you a small pink fruit. Ibtanga, he says, smiling. Tanga is delicious. Man, Tanga does sound good right now. Tanga is delicious, and you are eating a second one when a large blue-furred raka rushes into the Agon. Man, these words do... What a book have I chosen to start with here. Pointing at you, he speaks excitedly in his own tongue. Tor begins to argue with him. The others join in. Na Migkala, the blue-furred raka says loudly. It's clear he wants you to come with him. It seems likely that he represents the chief, or leader. Ket and Akim gesture as if you should obey, but Tor shakes his head, warning you not to go. If you follow... I'm no good with names at the best of times, right? Like, when we did Doki Doki Literature Club on stream, it took me hours and hours before I could put the names to faces, and that was like 4 different names. And actual names. This is, like, not names I'd be used to. So my options are, if I follow the blue-furred raka, turn to page 48. If I refuse to go, which I think the younger one is telling me to do, who was the first one to feed me, turn to page 50. I mean, majority of them are telling me to go, and if they're trying to take me to the chief, it's probably a good idea to not pee off the chief. So let's follow them and go to page 48. Hoping for the best, you follow the blue-furred raka to the center of the village. As you walk along the narrow footpaths, I can't even say footpaths, what chance do I have of saying all these names? As you walk along the narrow footpaths, other rakas emerge from their agons and stare at you curiously. When you reach the central agon, the blue-furred raka lets out a long, low hooting noise, which is answered from within. Inside an old, white-headed raka sits near the central fountain. A large black disc hangs from his neck. For a long time he stares at you. Finally he rises and steps closer. So you are what my hunters found. My name is Arton. I am High Raka of the village of Rakmara. You are so startled by the familiar words that it takes you a minute to answer. How is it you can speak my language? You finally ask. Arton smiles. A visitor from the Netherworld. She called herself Nera. Dr. Vivaldi? She's alive? Where? The old Raka shakes her head. She tried to swim across the great river. The river spirits have swallowed her. She might have made it across, you say. Even if she did, the archpods would have fed her to the Kota beasts. What are archpods? The archpods live beyond the great river. For a long time, the Rackers and archpods have each had one hunting boat. That is the law. Now the archpods build many boats. They are not hunting boats. They are war boats. The archpods plan to conquer Rakmara. You hold your head in your hands. Poor Dr. Vivaldi. And now the threat of war? Turn to page 51. Yes, bad times are upon us, Arton continues. But we shall protect ourselves. We have learned to mix powders and call up the fire of the earth in a great blast of noise and heat. You mean bombs? We call them Brakpa. With Brakpa and your help, we shall destroy the archpods before they destroy us. What do you mean, with my help, you ask? You come from the Netherworld, where war is the way of life. If you ride with us, our warriors will have courage. What are the Kota beasts? You ask too many questions, the Hierarchus snaps back. Now you must answer mine. Will you go with our warriors to attack the archpods? You shrink back from the choice. The Hierarchus' voice grows stern and cold. If you are not with us, then you are against us, and we shall deal with you as our enemy. If you tell the Hierarcha that you will go with his warriors, turn to page 52. If you tell him that you won't take part in the war, turn to page 56. Now, my initial thing there, reading it, was going to be, I don't want any part of this war. But since he's added, if we're not with him, we're against him, and we're literally in the middle of their camp, maybe we're kind of peer pressured, bullied here into fighting with them. So I guess we're going with him and his warriors. And to page 52. I'll go with your warriors, you answer. Very well, says Alton. You will stay with Tomo. Vivaldi taught him English, and he will tell you what you need to know. Immediately one of the Rackers step forward and take your arm. I am Tomo, he says, then leads you to the outskirts of the village and into his agon. He brings you woven mats. You must rest now, he says. You peer outside the red-streaked sky. Does it ever get dark in here? We have no night or... Oh, that voice changed. We have no night or day, says Tomo. We measure time by tides of the great river. Dr. Vivaldi said 2 of our tides equal 1 of your days. It is sleeping tide now. You realize that you have not slept since you arrived in the underground kingdom. Like, how long ago was that? That wasn't that long ago. Oh, how long have you been here? How many tides? Too tired to think about, you lie down and quickly fall asleep. Turn to page 54. I think that is a good point to end our first episode. We have survived a whole day, 2 tides. I don't know, actually, it's literally just said we don't know how many tides have been down here. But I've enjoyed this. Time has actually flown by doing this. Yeah. Be sure to check out the next episode. I don't know if it is going to be every day or every other day. Maybe we go for a Monday, Wednesday, Friday upload at, I don't know, I'm going to pick some arbitrary time that I now have to stick with. Let's say 8 p.m. Yeah, I've said that. We're going to stick with that. So it's going to be 3 times a week during the weekdays and 8 p.m. And yeah, we're going to just keep going until we finish. I'll make a playlist, so this should just autoplay for you. And yeah, if you want to see me live, I am on twitch.tv/VulcGames. We do mainly play racing games rather than reading books, but if you wanted to come along and say hi to me live, that'd be cool. Let me know what you think of this in comments, or as I say, come check out live and subscribe to make sure you don't miss future episodes. See you in the next one.